Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. What you're about to watch is a re-upload of the Stellar Horizons unboxing, which seems to have vanished in the mists of YouTube. So I'm now in the weird position of presenting an unboxing video for a game that I've pumped approximately 50 hours into. So there is a video review of Stellar Horizons. Please check that out. I'll see if I can put a card. If not, I'll put a link in the video description to the other video review of it. The very short version of that is that it's not an undifficult game, but we're enjoying it very much, and we're already talking about when we're going to play it next. So without further ado, here we go with the unboxing. Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We have an unboxing video for you today, and it is not Guam Return to Glory. I have this out because I just want to examine its form factor for just a moment. This is a standard box from Compass Games. It's about 2 inches deep. It's pretty much the standard 9 by 11-ish box that we would expect from the majority of publishers in the wargaming space. GMT has very similar boxes. Much larger is the subject of today's unboxing. Stellar Horizons. This is almost as high and about nearly twice as deep and much larger in total volume than the standard wargame box, but then this isn't really a wargame either. This is a game about space exploration from designer Andrew Rader, as you can see, Andrew Rader, and it has just arrived from Compass Games, and we are going to open it up and take a look. It is extremely heavy. And a very nice looking box too. This was, of course, kickstarted. I think it was last year, and it has just come out in all its weighty glory. So let's see what we have here. Big box, thick box, should be quite sturdy. Shelving might be an issue. There's a big wad of bags here. Not sure how I'm personally going to store this thing, but I may end up doing a video on that actually, because I believe it is going to be a bit of a challenge to get everything back in here in an organized way. We have a little baggie of 4 dice. There's 2 percentile dice and then 2 d10s, or a percentile pair and then 2 d10s. A lot of the die rolling in this game is percentile based. So we have, some of these were stretch goals, which they're including for everybody. 2 copies of the rule book. This is rules and scenarios. This is a 32-page glossy, I would call it something like a magazine stock type finish. Looks pretty nice. The rules are available for download from the Compass Games website. Nice Heinlein quote there. And it is a large and elaborate game. It's basically the second half and a little more of the 21st century. It starts the space exploration story basically where we are today. And we'll get to a little more as we go. So there's actually 2 complete copies of this in the box. Be aware of that. That is not an error. We have the sequence of, so there's like a little, instead of a play aid card, there is a play aid booklet. There are 7 copies of this? Yeah. With sequence of play, economic phase summary. I wouldn't really call this a play aid in the typical fashion, although all the tables, well, some of the tables at least, do seem to be on here. This is more like a rules summary booklet. So we got that. This is, I don't know what this is. This is Order of the Planets, Discs, and Belts. Okay, so this tells you how to lay this thing out. We have more than one of these? We do. We do, and they all appear to be the same. So we got 1, 2, 3. We have 7 of these too, for 1 for each player. It is I think it's marked as 2 to 7 players, but there is a solo scenario, or a way to play the game solo, which, as far as I know, from looking at the book, the downloaded rules, I'm not really sure what this is for, other than to show you how to lay this out. And then you have this distance track sort of wheel here that tells you how long things are going to be in transit in space, which is, of course, very big. And I don't know what this asteroid harvest thing is either. So 7 of these. A lot of stuff in here. Okay, so we have a card that comes on a punch board, and it just fell out of the card when I picked it up. So let's put that away, I guess. This is a turn track. There's an initiative thing here. There's terraforming modifiers that you could apparently put on these places. That is interesting. Here is the errata sheet. It's always irritating when you see errata, but Compass has been on top of it in this case and has included the sheet with the same quality components that you would find for the replacement pieces or missing pieces or whatever they were. And helpfully, which not all companies do this, they have actually included what you're doing with these. So these biology markers just get added in, and you replace 4 biology 1 tech markers with these. These are just additional units. These are replacements, so on and so forth. And then here's a corrected illustration from the book. We're going to try not to make these things fall out of the off the sheets, but I think we're going to have some problems with that. So we have this sheet of tiles, and I believe these are like, I don't know what the terminology is. I'm going to call them the discovery tiles that you can find. World cards. They're called world cards, and we have a whole bunch of them. Looks like we have two sheets of those. Okay, so those aside, we have 2 big planet boards. I will call them boards. These I will punch out because they're so big it doesn't matter. All these are different. Oops, I'm dropping stuff all over the place. All these are different sizes based on the size of the planet. So here's one for Jupiter and one for Saturn, and this is on what I would call a quite thick. I've seen thicker, but it's pretty thick and very rigid, heavy cardboard. Yeah, I've seen thicker, but they're pretty thick. We have this board. It's a hard-mounted board. This is the tech trees, and presumably you have markers you move around on this thing to determine what tech you have achieved. And then the rest of the components, I think, are going to come in this giant shrink-wrapped bundle. So let's bust this thing up. It is going to take me... it's a nice weekend project I have ahead of me to organize this thing. I am pretty excited. I want to get this to the table as soon as possible. That's probably going to be a local deal, but fortunately we have a huge and very active and well-organized board game club in town, which, although they're not having meetings again yet, individuals are getting together for gaming at this point. Bearing in mind any state of Ohio rules that may apply. All right, so we have a Neptune card along with money tokens. And as you can see, the die cutting is very aggressive. A whole bunch of things just fell out as I picked that sheet up. So we're going to try to not lose anything during the unboxing. All right. So looks like the size of the counter determines the denomination is what it looks like. All right. These are what I take to be like control markers of some kind. We'll get to... These must be control markers of some kind. And then these are installations. Again, I'm not sure about the terminology here. This looks like it's about 1 inch or 1.25 inches. They come pre-rounded and everything's on that quite thick stock. These are resource tokens. I want to say this is supplies. There's like 3 different kinds of resources. These are science tokens or science chits that you pick out of a pool. As you can see, we're losing these too. Let's see here. These things are just falling out, right? These are not staying in at all. Like I said, we'll try and lose as little as possible. These are for like extra time in transit, I can tell you that. There is a combat system in this game, which a lot of these space exploration games don't have. Here you have your 5 billion, 10 billion, and 25 billion coins, I'm going to call them. So the planets are on these hex tiles, and the moons and other objects are on these round tiles. And then when you find a planet or world card, it just goes on top of that tile. Interesting idea in that you can, here we got Venus coming loose. Because they're loose tiles and not like one big map, you can actually kind of arrange this according to the space that you actually have, which is kind of nice, and it's kind of a good thought. Mercury's also about to come loose. Here we have Callisto and Ganymede, the Deep Space Astronomy box. Here we have the faction, starting to get into the faction cards here. So there are 7 factions. These things all over the place. So we have North America, which apparently is the United States and Canada, and we've left out Mexico. We have Russia, which gets to be its own faction. We'll get to more factions here in a minute, I guess. Here's the Scattered Disk Alpha Centauri, some more moons and stuff. These are also about to come loose. These are more resource tokens of some kind. These might be ore, possibly. And again, look at this. So I don't foresee any problems getting these out of the sheets, that's for sure. They're kind of coming out of the sheets on their own. Here are your vehicles. So this would be a space telescope. You have crewed vehicles, space telescopes, and robotic explorers, I think. Like, they're basically probes, and there are like subtypes within each of those. Here's 2 more faction cards for Japan, and in the hypothetical future, South America and Africa have apparently banded together to do space exploration. Each of these, the factions are going to be fairly asymmetric, I can tell you that, just based on looking at the setup in the book. A lot of the details of the factions are actually on these cards, which I didn't have to look at until just now. All corners are rounded, which is even the hex tile corners, which is fairly nice. Here's our 2 more faction cards, Europe and China. These I'll take out because they're huge. And the different, I don't know if these are bases or what, but you have unique names for each of the factions, which I think is neat. Here are more installations. Here's more resource tokens. Again, I don't know what this one is called. I don't think it's called Fire. They're just coming out. Also not sure what these number tokens are. Upside down, I can tell you that. These presumably represent victory points. I think this has to do with the economic system. Looks like there's a lot to this game. More tiles. Earth, Mars, Vesta, Hygeia, Phobos and Deimos, Ceres. Here's more vehicle. There's like a name for this. There's bases, there's crewed vehicles, there's launch vehicles, which I didn't mention before. There's the robotic explorers, and I think that's it. And then we have our last faction card for Asia, which is a little bit weird because you think Asia and you think China, but China has its own card. This is actually supposed to be more India, Pakistan, South Asia. So, are the pictures different? Yeah, you notice that on each of the different cards, the illustrations of the space stations and stuff are different as well, which is neat. We also have this policy tree. So this is like a political system in here, and I'm not really sure I absorbed how this works. But you can set policies for each of the different policy areas: space settlement, space diplomacy, military policy, human policy, robotic policy, and space economics. And presumably the different nations will move around on this little tree there. And then we have more settlements. These are settlements. So we have like double settlements. Oh, there's space pirates too. I should mention that. And signs of life tokens. Not sure how those arise. And then these, I think, are for missions. You draw a random mission, and then that's your, yep, in fact it says missions on the back. And then you get extra points for completing
exploration or something on that place. So obviously I haven't looked at the rules all that closely yet, but I've been looking forward to getting my hands on this for a while. I would show you the box top, but it's now filled with loose pieces, and I'm not sure that I can. I will definitely, I think, do a storage video on this thing. It is really big. And I'm just kind of currently consumed by the thought of how I'm going to manage to store it. We'll see. There's a lot of pieces in here. It is, like I said, an extremely heavy box. In terms of the component quality, I think the component quality looks really strong. Nice, thick. Everything's super thick. There's no cards or anything, except for these displays and stuff. Everything's on this. Ooh, that's cool. Everything's on this sort of heavy counter stock. It's really quite heavy. Very 2001. A little bit Solaris. Quite Babylon 5, if anything. And I don't know what that would be supposed to be, or that, or this. But yeah, quite handsome components. Very impressed with the component quality of this. I cannot wait to get this to the table. I actually am going to hopefully try to make that happen sometime in the next week. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned if you want to see more Stellar Horizons video. If you have specific questions, let me know in the comments below. Give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed watching it. And until next time, happy gaming.